Good evening. This is the Metro Washington Area Committee. It's February 10th, and we have two bills on our agenda. I'm going to go over the more simpler one first for discussion. MCPG 11225, Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission service charges. This passed out of the Prince George's County delegation, so we get a bite out of the apple to take a look at it. And I want to open the floor up for any discussion on the amendments, if everyone has had a copy of those and had a chance to read it. Okay, making sure, okay. I'm gonna briefly go over what the bill, uh, yes, I believe that's Ralph.
It is, Madam Chair. Maybe mistaking it, but I'm fairly certain that the amendments were for Delegate Corn's bill. So this WSSC has none, unless I'm
Oh, I'm
mistaken.
sorry, okay.
Quick point. It was voted with an amendment, but
Right.
you consider the whole thing together. It's like you don't vote on the amendment separately. You vote on it favorably as it was amended by Prince George's County. So you can still discuss what the amendment does, but it's not something separate in this consideration.
Okay, okay. Okay. That's what I thought. All right. So let me go into what the well, first what the bill does, and then I'll go into the amendments just for clarity's sake. The bill authorizes the commission to establish certain customer classes for certain service rates and charges. It requires that service rates for each customer class be uniform for a given charge throughout the sanitary district. It authorizes the minimum or ready-to-serve charge, which may include an infrastructure investment component, and authorizes the minimum ready-to-serve charge based on the size of the meter on the water connection leading to a property and any other criteria set by the commission through regulation. The amendments, one's technical and one removes the authorization for WSSC to establish one or more customer classes for any service rate or charge. Instead, the commission is authorized to create customer classes within any given meter size for the minimum or ready-to-serve charge. The amendment also codifies the existing practice and provides authorization to allow for the infrastructure investment fee to be a component of the minimum or ready-to-service charge. So with that, assuming there are no questions on the amendment, can I get a motion to move the bill as amended?
Move favorable.
I'll second. All those in favor,
I'm
please.
sorry, Madam Chair, can I ask a question before we?
Yes. Oh, yes,
Before I
yes,
read
yes,
the
yes,
bill?
my apologies. I'm rushing ahead. Yes, open for
Sorry, I
discussion.
didn't get my hand up fast enough. And
Yes.
actually, I just wanted to ask, I guess Monica or somebody else from WSSE, did the amendments originate from WSSE or did they originate in the Prince George's County delegation?
We did. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, 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 it works this time.
Yes, they actually they originate from WSSC Water based on the feedback that we received from this delegation as well as Prince George's County delegation. And so it's a narrowed down version of what we had originally proposed at the bi-county bill hearings in December.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or discussion? Oh, okay, seeing none. We've moved the bill first by Delegate Pluckers-Carr, seconded by me. And if we're ready to vote, all those in favor of MCPG 11225 as amended, please say aye or raise your right hand or raise your hand. All right, so that's unanimous. Okay, and that bill moves out of committee. Next, we have MCPG 10525, WSSC Transparency Reform Act of 2025. There's been a number of amendments to the bill, and I'm going to allow Delegate Corman to walk us through the amendments because I believe we all have a copy of the bill as amended, but we don't have a summary to kind of give us overview. So please, Delegate Corman, take it away and walk us through the amendments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I actually think Jen did send around an amendment with
Okay.
a summary that hopefully
Okay.
Ralph got and was able to stick in the Google Drive.
Okay.
Reprint. I think the reprint, which I'll talk through, is probably the most relevant document. And
Okay.
Jen, just a huge thank you to Jen, as always, for her work on these amendments, including on her Saturday and Friday night. So thank you, Jen, for that. So I'll just talk through the reprint and try to give a fair assessment of where the WSSC is. And of course, they're on to speak for themselves as well, but I'll just try to summarize. First, the amendment changes the short title of the bill to WSSC Transparency and Reporting Act. I understand WSSC might prefer WSSC Planning and Reporting Act. That's totally fine with me if they, want to press that point. Moving on to page 2 and 3. This is the provision related to adding the Montgomery County Department of Environmental Protection as one of the members of the commission. WSSC does not take a position on this. They leave it to the county government. County executive requested a few changes, but then expressed support for the provision. The changes are basically included here. The one I did not include related to changing the political party requirements for the commission members, but this would address the other issues raised by the county executive, making it clear that the DEP person didn't have to be a county resident and could serve as chair or vice chair of the commission and was a full voting member of the commission, as well as allowing it to take effect at the county executive's pleasure after either of the next 2 vacancies on the commission. I should say terms are up on the commission. The next issue, which is, I believe, entirely worked out with WSSC with some minor typographical changes that, I don't think are all that relevant. On page 4, relates to the long-term reporting requirements. And so this looks very similar to what was above, with a few changes, including removing discussion of the ad valorem tax, which I'll talk about later. There is a typo. It says long range in one place. I obviously have a lot of rage about this bill, but I think that's supposed to be long range. And so I know we'll get that fixed up. And I think WSSC also has a desire that the first report will be due November 1st, 2025, but every 5 years thereafter, the deadline would be June 1st, because that's more in accordance with their internal reporting schedule. So I think that's an easy enough change to make. The next relevant changes are on page 6. This just makes some changes that WSSC requested involving the transparency provisions on the website. At the bottom of page 6, there is a change to the Office of Inspector General that came out of my discussions with the WSSC Officer Inspector General related to how the budget for that office is approved. WSSC management does not take a position on this, and they have not had time to discuss it with the commissioners themselves yet. So we don't have WSSC's view on that particular provision. But again, this came out of my discussions with the Office of Inspector General. On page, the next page, which I guess is unnumbered, this came out of a lot of discussion with the general manager and the Office of Inspector General to have some of the review of the OIG that was requested be done as a peer review rather than by DLS or some other entity. And so that's what this reflects. But I know WSSC does want a little bit of clarification at the end of this provision, which is 17-610, which they just want to make clear that 1, this is provided to the commission, and then 2, following language we have earlier, the commission shall publish it on the website. So it's sort of a little bit of cleanup there, which again, I don't think alters the substance of the bill. And Jen, I'll email all this to you. I just did not have time. I apologize between my last meeting with WSSC and this one. The next page, page 7, this relates to the fixed billing. I think I discussed this at our prior meeting, but this just makes it intent language related to fixed periodic billing, monthly or such as monthly or quarterly. It could be a different fixed period in response to some feedback I got from members of both delegations. And then WSSC and a lot of our people who testified wanted it to be technology neutral. So that language is reflected here. we are removing language related to the high bill adjustments, which the bill as it came in removed a cap on those. Instead, there's some reporting requirements in here so that we can sort of see on an ongoing basis if this is an issue. But, you know, WSSC had significant concerns about removing the cap entirely, and so we removed that provision of the bill. In the middle of page 7 is the discussion of Avenel. We do not have agreement on this section. WSSC still opposes it. I'm still working on it. There's a lot of steps left in this bill, so lots of opportunity to continue to work on this provision. And I've told both the local committee chair and the delegation chair that, you know, obviously, you know, whatever we ultimately do, if the committee does move the bill, you know, will be done in consultation with both this delegation and the Prince George's County delegation, and recognize there's additional work to be done on this provision. Bottom of page 7 involves the appointment of the DEP, the timing of that, which I mentioned earlier. Flipping over to section 4. This is new language to try to address WSSC's concerns about having the ad valorem tax in their financial planning. As the general manager explained to us on last week's call, they did, back in the Great Recession, get sort of a 2-page document looking at ad valorem taxes to help support their debt. But generally, it's not something WSSC does or plans to do. This tries to make that clear by noting in the language that notwithstanding recognition by the General Assembly that the authority for WSSC to consider ad valorem taxes has never been used by the Commission and that they have no intention of imposing it, it still asks for a little bit of reporting on this, separate and apart from the other reports. You know, WSSC hasn't taken a position on this yet. The Commission's last sort of directive to WSSC management was that they opposed the prior provision, and so WSSC has not updated that position. I'll just note that, frankly, I've kind of bent over backwards here to try to accommodate WSSC's concerns while still getting information about the potential impact of ad valorem taxes. Finally, section 5. In response to WSSC's request, I shifted a large report in the bill from DLS to the Office of Inspector General. There are a few provisions in here, though, that I learned earlier this evening that the Office of Inspector General, it would not be appropriate for them to do because they're viewed as governance issues. And so I have reached out to Mike Powell at DLS and had some back and forth with him about whether some of these could still be done by DLS, but that's something that also will have to sort of be continued to work out. But I understand that some of these, and I can go over which ones, you know, are not appropriate for the internal OIG, and that would include number 2, which is a review of the budgetary process. Number 3, a review of the process for entering consent decrees. Number 4, related to commission member subject matter expertise, and then number 9, related to the PSC's role. And my thought is that a few of these could be done either by DLS still, or by some other kind of outside entity, but still, frankly, working through that, in part because I just didn't realize until earlier this evening that some of these things the OIG couldn't do, you know, but we wanted to shift as much of this as possible to the OIG in response to WSSC's feedback on the bill. So that was an awful lot of me talking. So I think that covers everything in the reprint, and I'm happy to answer questions if it's okay with Madam Chair. But what I would say to you colleagues is this bill has a lot of process left in front of it. In addition to going through our delegation, it then goes to a local committee in Prince George's County. Then it goes to the Prince George's County delegation. Then it goes to a standing committee. If the tyrannical chair of that standing committee puts it on a voting list, then it goes over, you know, through the House floor process. Then it goes over to the Senate, where it goes through all those steps again. And so what I would ask is that we adopt the amendments that are before us, recognizing we may have a cleanup amendment on Friday to address some of the issues that I mentioned, and still plenty of time after that for some of the other nuances that WSSC or others have raised, but would appreciate the committee support in moving this forward, given, you know, where we are, you know, a month into session and how much more road this bill has in front of it. So with that, again, a lot of me talking, Madam Chair, but appreciate the committee's indulgence.
Madam Chair, you're on mute.
You're muted, but I read your
you would think-
lips and I think you called
There
on
you
me.
go. That's how long we work together. Okay, Madam Chair, nothing like a block of card. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just for, I've communicated this already to the bill sponsor and to you, but for the benefit of our colleagues, I have said, wearing my hat as delegation chair, that I think at this point in the session, and because this is a bi-county bill, recognizing some of the amendment language is still going to need to change, I do feel comfortable moving forward. We should definitely have a conversation tonight, but if we need to make additional revisions in full delegation on Friday, procedurally, that shouldn't be a barrier for us tonight.
And I concur. A lot of these changes seem somewhat minor. We essentially have the foundation. We need to get the T's crossed and the I's dotted. Delegate Wilkins, yes.
Madam Chair, if you're ready to entertain a motion, I wanted to move the amendments.
I am ready.
Madam Chair, second.
Okay. Any discussion? Great, seeing none. Okay, so I'm calling for a vote on MCPG 10225. All those in favor say aye or raise your right hand or left hand. Okay, that is unanimous. Great. Well, thank you, Delegate
Madam Chair.
Corman.
Madam Chair.
Madam,
Sorry,
we
Madam Chair, I think
did
those were
vote
the
on the bill.
amendments.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm rushing things tonight. I apologize on the amendments. Is there a motion to vote on the bill as amended?
Move the bill.
Second.
Move favorable, sorry.
All those in favor of the bill as amended, please say aye or raise your right hand. Okay, looks like it's unanimous. Okay. Great. Okay, so Bill 10225 has passed out of committee as amended, knowing that we will have more work to do to kind of cross our T's, dot our I's on this bill. But just wanted to again thank WSSC, CEO Powell, and Ms. Markina and Delegate Corman for your steadfast work, and of course Mr. Massaro, I apologize, and the whole team for working on this bill and getting us to where we are now.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, and
you.
with that, those are 2 items on the agenda. They've both been taken care of, so the meeting is officially adjourned for tonight. Thank you so much.